Welcome back. This is episode 4 of the Fitmakesenz Mindset and Movement Experience. Today, we're diving into a game-changing topic: why cutting negative thoughts is more powerful than positive thinking. You've probably heard countless times about the power of positivity, but let me ask you this. What if the real secret to growth lies not in thinking more positively, but in thinking less negatively? In this episode, I'll share how this shift transformed my life as an athlete and entrepreneur, from overcoming setbacks to finding mental clarity when positivity alone wasn't enough. So if you're ready to discover how cutting out the mental clutter can set you free, let's jump right in. The world loves to preach the power of positivity. But what if the secret to real growth lies in thinking less negatively instead? In my own experience as an athlete and entrepreneur, I learned that constantly forcing myself to think positive was like trying to swim against the tide. The real breakthrough came not from saying positive affirmations, but from eliminating the negative thoughts that were weighing me down. Positivity without a plan, when it backfires. Throughout my career, people often told me, stay positive, especially during difficult times. But that advice didn't address the realities I was living through. When I was flying from Ghana to the UK to America, just chasing dreams without my parents there to guide me, there were plenty of moments when staying positive wasn't enough. Later, in the pro basketball circuit, tryout camps were often full of uncertainty. You show up hoping that this will finally be the opportunity, but more often than not, it's a scam or a disappointment. After experiencing this cycle multiple times, forcing positive thoughts became exhausting. Instead of making me feel better, it added pressure, like I was wearing a mask pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. The Achilles injury. A shift in perspective. One of the biggest lessons in cutting negative thoughts came after I suffered a career-threatening Achilles injury. It felt like my world was falling apart. I spent months rehabbing, not knowing if I'd ever play at the same level again. At that point, I stopped trying to convince myself that everything would magically work out. Instead, I focused on reducing negative thinking. First, I stopped asking, what if I don't make it? Then, I shut out the comparisons to others who hadn't faced my struggles. And lastly, I focused on the next step, no matter how small it seemed at the time. Eventually, when I returned to the court, I won MVP in a preseason tournament in Lithuania. That achievement was rewarding, but more than anything, it showed me the power of mental discipline. By cutting down the negative self-talk, I could move forward without needing constant positivity. Why does cutting negative thoughts work better than positive thinking? Here's why focusing on eliminating negative thoughts is more effective than chasing positivity. 1. It reduces emotional pressure. Telling yourself to stay positive all the time can feel like a performance. Cutting negative thoughts removes that pressure and allows space for neutral, calm thinking. 2. It creates clarity. Negative thoughts are like mental clutter. The more you reduce them, the clearer your path becomes. You start seeing practical solutions rather than getting stuck in endless what-ifs. And 3, it builds momentum. When you stop focusing on the negatives, you're free to focus on small, meaningful actions. Over time, those small wins build confidence, naturally. So how can you apply this to your life? You don't have to eliminate every negative thought at once. Instead, try the following. Identify triggers. Notice what situations or people tend to spark negative thinking. Challenge one thought at a time. When a negative thought comes up, question its validity. Is it a fact or just a fear? Replace it with action. Instead of thinking about what could go wrong, take a small action toward what you want. This approach isn't about being neutral all the time. It's about finding peace in progress. Some days will be tougher than others, and that's okay. But cutting negative thoughts helps you build a mental foundation that doesn't rely on forced positivity to stay strong. So here's the bottom line. As someone who has lived through uncertainty, whether it was hoping for a pro contract, bouncing back from injury, navigating life across 3 continents, or figuring out how to find a life of purpose after leaving professional sports, I've seen firsthand that less negativity is more powerful than forced positivity. Reducing negative thoughts doesn't mean you won't have setbacks. It means those setbacks won't have control over you. Ultimately, true progress comes from mental clarity and discipline. And that starts by letting go of the thoughts that don't serve you. Positive thinking is great, but cutting the negative noise is the game changer. Make it make sense.